What else is important? We only have like about 3 minutes, and then we have to take an immediate break. There's no way of going over that. What else is important for you to see as far as the district attorney's office should be? How do you hope it should be or it could be? And do you see that you can change that?
Absolutely. I want to, first of all, put people at the top of the DA's office who have real experience trying real cases. I think a lot of the problems that we talked about today stem from the fact that Janet DiFiore herself and some of her top people don't have experience doing serious criminal prosecution. She was a judge for a while, and she never supervised the trial of one case. She either pled out cases or she sent them to another judge for trial. And I don't know any other criminal court judge who that would be true of. As a prosecutor, she was a prosecutor before being a judge, and my understanding is that she tried hardly any, if any, cases. And if you haven't actually tried cases and you're running an office of trial attorneys, you are not going to be able to put the priorities in the right place and understand how to build a case.
And do you know people that you would be able to place in office so that do have experience? As you say, that the president isn't, DA doesn't?
There's two things. First of all, I know a lot of people outside the DA's office who have good trial experience. However, but beyond that, there are a lot of people in the DA's office right now, assistant district attorneys, who are great prosecutors and are being wasted. Their talents are being wasted. I know good trial attorneys in the DA's office now who haven't tried a case in a while because they're told they can't try any case unless it's a slam dunk. And so there are a lot of people in the office now that I think should be elevated to positions of greater responsibility.
Is that a political decision, though?
It is. I have a lot of friends in the DA's office. It's interesting. I'm running against an incumbent, but because I worked in the DA's office more recently than Janet DiFiore became district attorney, I'm in a sense more of an insider because my friends worked in the office, and they tell me that they're told they are not allowed to try a case unless it's a slam dunk. I was talking to one police officer, a high-ranking police officer, who told.
Why would you try a case if it's not a slam dunk?
Listen, you walk out and you're mugged by somebody, or you're beaten in your home by an abusive husband. It's not going to be caught on videotape. You're not going to have a confession in every case. You could take a first-year law student and let them try a case with a video confession. It takes a tough prosecutor to put together evidence, explain to a jury why the evidence shows that the person's guilty. So you want to try people that you know are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, but you have to present the evidence in a logical, coherent, sophisticated manner. And you can't be afraid of losing a trial, which is what's happening now.
We should get back to that because I need to better understand what you're saying there. We'll be right back. This is WVUX 1460 AM Radio. We're speaking with Dan Schorr, who's running for district attorney in Westchester County. My name is Hezi Aris, your host. We'll be right back. Don't forget to give us a call, 914-636-0110.
WVOX. Now back to On the Level with Hezi Aris. It's everything Yonkers and Westchester with Hezi Aris, the editor and publisher of the Westchester Times-Tribune. You can join the conversation at 914-636-0110. Once again, here's Hezi Aris.
Thanks, John Harper. What a great introduction. I'm always envious. He's got a great radio voice. And thank you, Debbie Schachter, for keeping us afloat here. She does it electronically, and she mans the phones. If you'd like to join our conversation today with Dan Schorr, who's running for district attorney in Westchester County, give us a call at 914-636-0110. Before we continue, it says here on your palm card, you've got a website, www.electdanschorr.com. That's elect, E-L-E-C-T, then Dan, D-A-N, and then Schorr, S-C-H-O-R-R, all one word, electdanschorr.com. So that's great. And, are you related to Chuck Schorr-Lesnick, who's the city council president?
I'm not. I know him. I'm not related to him.
That's okay. I'm glad you're not. As far as I'm concerned, that would be a burden, but that's all right. Anyway, the thing I wanted to talk to you about before we took the break was this whole concept of a slam dunk case. What is the value of trying a case, in my mind, that you may not win? And you brought up a great example, and maybe you could cover that again. Well, we were doing this off the air.
Sure. Well, first of all, I could give you an example of a case I tried that I would consider not a slam dunk. I had a violent, repeat domestic violence offender who had multiple felony convictions, and I had 4 instances of him beating the mother of his baby, and the final instance was she was actually holding their baby, and he stabbed her literally in the back. Now, he fled. She refused to testify once he was caught because she was afraid of him. And without her testimony, it was very hard to prove that case. I knew based on initial statements from her, from his past records, his past convictions, the medical records, the 911 call, that he had committed this crime. It's not a slam dunk because it's not walking into court saying, here's the confession. But you have to piece together the evidence. I called her mother, who gave evidence that corroborated the incident. I put in the medical records. I had police officers testify, and we were able to convict him, and he's now in prison for the rest of his life. That's a case that took a lot of work with some great police officers from Yonkers that I worked with on that case. It's not a slam dunk. What I'm told from prosecutors in the DA's office now who want to try cases like that and work to prosecute people is that they're told, unless it's an easy case, we don't want to try it because we don't want to ever lose a case. Now, if you're a good prosecutor...
Is that a political rationale?
It's a political thing because the district attorney is afraid to have in the paper a story about them losing a trial. And that's what I'm told from prosecutors in the office and from police officers. And also, one very high-ranking police officer told me that he's had fights with the district attorney, arguments, because, in his words, she doesn't want to prosecute a case unless 100 nuns have witnessed the crime. And that's a bad attitude. You have to, police officer works hard to...
Do you believe that? Do you believe that? I mean, to be
absolutely.
honest, I mean,
absolutely.
To me, this sounds... It's
well,
it's like a slap in my face. If I can't challenge that because I don't know,
right?
But you're saying it's true.
Absolutely. Well, I've heard it from so many different people, and I've seen it firsthand. And once again, I'll refer to Detective Sergeant Bernur in Pleasantville, who, as a police officer, he'd been serving Pleasantville and Westchester for over 20 years. He said to the Journal News that they're not keeping people who are burglarizing houses in jail. They're just releasing them. And he was suspended for that.
Is that because there's no room in the jails, or because that's a policy to release them? Why would they release them?
There's 2 reasons. One is that this district attorney doesn't have real trial experience, and you need real trial experience to understand how to conduct to run an office of trial attorneys and successfully prosecute people.
And you were saying that you need that experience in order to govern those 120
prosecutors. The second thing is that this district attorney's office is especially political in the worst sense of the world. And this is someone who switched parties, it's seemingly to get more registrants on their side, and it's that type of thinking about politics, about the press, about how you're going to be seen and how you're going to get reelected, rather than focusing on doing the best job of protecting and keeping us safe. That's a problem in this district attorney's office. And
you don't believe that all the stuff that's swirling about you as well is not going to overwhelm you? I think from a political standpoint. Also,
well, what in particular do you mean?
Well, the whole idea of the Independence Party getting involved, Sam Zerka from The Guardian being involved. You got Doug Colty, who's sitting on one side of the equation and possibly on another. There are people that are connected as well in your campaign, that are not stellar.
Well, no, those people. Well, first of all, you mentioned Sam Zerka, the publisher of The Guardian. He's not connected in any way to my campaign. In fact,
but he was there, and he was there at the fundraiser for
Tony Castro.
For Tony Castro, right. and the guy who does the editor for that, Blasberg, he was involved in Tony Castro's campaign.
Right. Well, they're all supporting Tony Castro for district attorney, and it's significant that he's running as a Democrat to challenge Janet DeFiore in the Democratic primary. So
but isn't that almost like they have one in each another horse in every race? One on the Democratic side, one on the Republican side, because if you're in the Republican, and yet what would the Republican Party leader or chairman be doing in a fundraiser for a Democrat?
Well, there's a couple of things that you raised. First of all, the people you mentioned, Mr. Blasberg, Mr. Zerka, they are supporting Tony Castro in his race against Janet DeFiore. And I think being a Republican without any opposition going against a candidate who will emerge from a Democratic primary
Mm-hmm.
actually puts our campaign in a very good position because they will be contesting this election until the September primary, presumably. And with minor party lines, Tony Castro may be on the Working Families line. He may be on another line. So I think there's a very good chance that in the end, this will be a three-way race on Election Day with me and two Democrats. So I feel that's a very good position for our campaign.